of the university. Now that we were a new department, we were just transitioning from a college that is technical to a university. So I felt like universities like JKUAT, Strathmore, KU, these big universities that have a name and already have partnership with other people like Microsoft, Google, Linux Foundation, they were ahead of us in one way or the other because of those partnerships. So it was really my passion that I should have an opportunity to engage in as much a level as a student in these other universities that are established. So I started researching about what opportunities are there for students like us, and what are the avenues for partnership with these big tech organizations and such. So I remember writing down that I had a goal that by the end of that year, I'd at least be a Google student ambassador or a Microsoft student partner, as it was called back then, or something at least within the industry. And luckily enough, I encountered the advertisement for Microsoft Student Partnership. And I applied for that. I even still have my pitch video. I don't know how it's done nowadays, but back then you had to do like a 1 minute or 3 minute speech video and upload it on YouTube. Then you share, and then once you share, there's a review process, and then you're told whether you're a Microsoft student partner or not. And that was the period where we almost transitioning to Windows 10. So immediately after I got the chance to become a Microsoft student partner, we ran many partnership with Microsoft. So my main motivation, beside the long story, my main motivation for having become a Microsoft student partner was that I really wanted to be in touch with whatever is happening. I feared getting lost in academics without really aligning my academics with whatever I'm going to practice in future. So those were my motivating factors. I wanted to learn. I always wanted to be at par with the industry. Yeah. Winnie?
Okay. Wow. Okay. All right. So I think we can just start. Then after your session, I'll have some panel questions for you. Yeah. So
Oh,
we
okay,
can.
okay. Yeah. So I think the goal of this presentation will be to help us align ourselves career-wise. And I was asked a few questions that would be good for me to handle in this session. And the first was my story into software engineering. And I think all of you have your own stories into it. I'd also want to talk about if you are a student. Sorry, I have some feedback. Okay, so what is software engineering generally, and what is required for one to be a software engineer? I'll be handling that. And then if you are doing a related study in software engineering, what can you do, or how can you be ready for the software engineering market? And lastly, I realized that also not necessarily you're doing software engineering courses. So probably you're doing a business course or something of that kind. So I'll expand that the last session into what does it take for any person really to become a software engineer? Does it really need you to have done software engineering in campus level for you to be a software engineer? So that is my short story. I always wanted to be an engineer from when I was young. And my engineering was into electrical engineering. I remember back in high school, when we were selecting our selections for university, I filled it as I wanted to be an electrical engineer. The second option was electrical and electronic engineering. My third option was electrical and mechatronic engineering. My fourth option was electrical, and I don't know what those options were. I wanted to be an engineer fully. And I don't know how many of you wanted to do things that you're not doing currently. Maybe I see by a show of hands. All of you wanted to be whatever you want to be today. Awesome. Yeah. So I think I have stories like Gregory and also Anselmo, where you wanted to be something else, but somehow probably the cutoff criteria for university you did not meet, or something happened along the way that you had to change. That was my story. I wanted passionately to be an engineer. Why did I want to be an engineer? I always interacted with tools. I interacted with radio. My father used to give me a radio, and I was stubborn, at least in the list, to say sometimes I would go and play around with it and destroy it. I would receive some lashing, but that was the whole experience. I wanted something I could engage my mind in, develop in, create, innovate in. And I felt like this was the only opportunity in engineering to give myself a place where I can become myself, explore the world, and bring into the world some new ideas. So selecting all these university courses, I was very rigid, and I wanted to be into that field, but Kenya National Examination Councils happened, and I realized that I could not make it to this specific university I'd chosen for that specific course. And that was really a frustrating moment. But back then, because I did computer in high school, something that I remember my computer teacher told us that, some of you will become computer scientists. And I was sitting in class, I said, no, I'm not going to be a computer scientist, because I think I felt like I'm not the best performing student in class in high school. So I didn't think I would be a computer student, neither a computer practitioner in future. So, but after we did our Form 4, we had this scholarship in partnership with a college in Westlands called Immobilis. So I said, if there is a scholarship, then why not just try and pursue this thing at least for 3 months before I joined campus. So that became the beginning of my journey with computing. So I go to that class, and back then we were doing JW2E, Java J2Me, Java Mobile Edition. That was the ones that were supporting Series 40, Series 60 mobile phones. If you have a Kabambe or this small phone, there are those applications that that are there. We used to power those applications before. And that is when also Android was coming in, and we used to do that. And it was beautiful to develop something in Java and see something work on your phone. And I thought this is a whole new world of exploration for me. And I started loving computing. Now, remember, at this point, I am not sure whether I'm qualifying for my engineering course. And during my period in Immobilis, that is when results came, and I realized that I'm not qualifying. So I had to think of my second option, and I realized computing would give me an equivalent opportunity to innovate, to explore the world the way I wanted to explore, just as engineering would have done for me. And computing became even better. Then thereafter, I decided to do computer science. The university I went, I thought I qualified for engineering, but I didn't want to change to engineering because I wanted now to focus on computer science. So that became my beginning of computer science. But now my biggest challenge, as I said, became that because I found the college was young, I wanted to bring it at par with the other colleges. So I wanted to seek for partnerships with Microsoft, Google, other companies at least that are partnering with university students and bringing tools into the market. So that became it. I managed to partner with Microsoft when I was a student, and I became the first Microsoft student partner back then in campus. So after that, we learned computer science, as some of you do. We learned software engineering, some doing IT, and we came to the field where we started the computer field, the computer practicing at least. So up to that point, I had a few lessons that I had learned, because immediately after campus, I decided to try startup stuff. It failed and all those things. But I had a few things that I'd learned at least up to that point for as a student to handle the section of those people who are doing software engineering, what will you do to ensure that you become better in that in that field? Yeah, just give me a minute. I connect my headphones to charge. Yeah, so I had a few lessons I'd learned after finishing campus and coming into the field. The first one was it is a field of passion. And that will handle the second part of my presentation, where I'd like to talk to those people who are not practicing or learning computer science at this point. It is a field of passion. And passion is a driver that allows you to go on even when it gets tough and you don't seem to understand stuff. So sometimes you have to learn many things. Sometimes you have to encounter obstacles, bugs here and there. How many of you have had a bug and slept over it without solving it? How many of you, by a show of hands? I think every single person who has ever done any programming, even at a beginning level, you've seen that at some point you get stuck. So software engineering is really a field of passion where if you love it, you'll still hang on until you get through it all. My first bug that took me long was back in campus when I was doing a side hustle. And I was doing CSS, I think JavaScript and HTML, and I had missed, I think, I can't remember well what I was doing, but I missed hash in my CSS, in my HTML, and I was wondering why my JavaScript is not picking this item from the DOM. And it took me 1 week before I realized that I had done that. So it's a field really of passion, and it doesn't matter whether you have done computer science or not, whether you're doing computer science, software engineering, or IT or not. It is a field that requires you to just have that passion, and once you have the passion, it will keep you going. And that is going to talk to the second point. It is a field of continuous learning. Without that passion, you're not going to learn continuously. If you know, we have a lot of frameworks, for example, today. We have Angular, we have React, we have Svelte, we have Vue.js, we have things that keep on coming. And at one point, you'll be placed in a project where you're not using the familiar framework, for example, React, and you're told to use, say, Svelte or Vue.js or Angular. And in that moment, you'll have to start learning something new. So it's a field of continuous learning. Besides being placed in a language that you're not familiar with, sometimes technologies get phased out and you need to learn new technologies that come into it. So because you want to place yourself strategically in the market so that you are relevant every single day, you have to continually learn. Number 3, about continuous learning, it is that you will always want to be in a senior position. I mean, that is growth. That is why we have software, for example, we have software beginner, then we have mid-level engineers, and then we have senior engineers, we have partner engineers, distinguished engineers, and such. There is something that distinguishes between all these levels, and that is your ability to learn. I think in Microsoft, I like a quote by Satya that says we are a learn-it-all organization and not a know-it-all organization. That enables you to adapt to environments and technologies that are unfamiliar. That is, you charter unknown waters with new technologies and learning. So what is going to help you is being a beginner always. There's something called a beginner mindset. That is, the curiosity that you have now, it's a curiosity that you want to guard jealously so that you go with it into the future, because that is the same curiosity that will allow you to learn. If it will enable you to get into the job market, then it should enable you to climb the ladder into being a distinguished software engineer. And staying curious, ask questions, always question stuff. And that enables you to see new perspectives. I think there's a challenge that I usually realize in software engineering where an imposter syndrome, where you feel like you are in a set of people and you feel like it's odd to ask a question, or you look too junior, too beginner, to ask a question. But I think that is something that we should read off and learn, that always asking a question will help you to learn something new. So those are the lessons I have learned so far in software engineering. So what is software engineering? Software engineering is a field where you bring things together to make the world work. For example, you are in an engineering field, in a teaching space, or in a tech company that is handling stuff here and there. And I'll give an example of, say, you're in a company that is helping farmers to engage their clients. So the problem is that farmers need to get to their clients, and software engineering is the solution here. So as a software engineer, you not only develop the solution, but understand the problem the farmer is facing, help them to come up with the right solution, not your proposed solution, but the solution that fits the farmer and also meets the client's needs. So that is basically software engineering. It goes beyond the coding part. It is the technical skills, the soft skills, the people skills. It's a holistic field. Why am I saying holistic? For you to advise the farmer on what best solutions to develop, I mean, on which is the best solution to develop, then it means you have to communicate with him. You have to have empathy. You have to put yourself into the shoes of the farmer and understand the problem that he's facing, and then solve it as though you are the farmer, right? So you're putting yourself into the shoes of the farmer and solving it, not because you know how to solve it, but because the farmer has told you and you now understand what the farmer needs. So that is a more soft skill than a technical skill, as it were. So again, for you to advise him on what is feasible and what is not feasible, you have to know what is feasible and what is not feasible. So this is where now you have to come and tell him, we have to use this technology because this is what is there, and also because of your budget, you're going to use this and this and this. So it's a field it's a field as such. And also you have to know the customer, understand the customer, and know that this is the customer, this is what they need. And so you are here as a problem solver who has all these abilities and skills brought together. And you have the skills that actually matter, and you have the skills that are supporting skills. In my opinion, and what I've seen over time is that the people skills, the ability to relate with other people, understand their problems, be their problem solver without even coding, is one of the biggest skills that you need to have in the software developer skills, while not downplaying the other skill of having the ability to actually code the solution. And so back in campus, I remember we used to have a unit called communication skills. Let me see how many of you have the communication skills in campus. Communication skills. Yeah, Gregory, I see. All of you at least have it. I remember we had a tendency of asking ourselves, what is communication skills going to help us out here? And so it was very easy for a person to skip the communication skills lesson and instead go for the mathematics lesson, for example, discrete mathematics, or maybe computer fundamentals, or maybe compiler constructions, things that looked heavy, things that looked hard. That is what we went for. If you're doing maybe business, you go for macroeconomics and such. Doing agriculture, you go for the lessons that actually matter. We had something called critical thinking, a course, I think. And we didn't think that all those lessons were important in life. So what I'm bringing out here is, it is a holistic field where nothing is less important. You need to bring into this field yourself wholly and not yourself technically. It needs you to understand that course that you're doing, however small it is, the communication skills as you're doing it, however negligent it is, it's easy for you to neglect it. Critical thinking, because that is when you learn how to ask questions. Yeah, ask things rightly, question stuff, that is what we need in the field. And then definitely you also need to bring the technical side. So if I was to be brought back to campus and told to learn computer science again, or to learn again in campus, I think I'll take every single course and every single unit very seriously. So for you who is doing IT, software engineering, whatsoever the course you're doing, even business, all those things that you're learning are important. It's just until you get to the field that you realize that you needed a skill from here and a skill from there. For example, we used to learn a theoretical course called system design. It was theoretical. It's not really theoretical here, but back in campus, it was mostly theory. And we didn't know where to apply that. We did project management, managing people and using these people to bring the product out. Project management, we used to do that. But until you come out here, then you realize that project management is actually a career, database systems is actually, you can have knowledge in that field. Security, a very important field again. So if I was to be taken back to campus, then I'll do that. So what do you require to do software engineering? Passion, I'd say passion. We said passion is the driver. It allows you to keep going. So when things get kind of tricky, sometimes motivation goes, but passion will keep you going. And so that is regardless of whether you're doing business, engineering, software engineering, computer science, and such. And so for those who are already starting computer software engineering course, how can they get ready for the job market? How can you get ready for the job market, whether you're studying or not? I think the first thing is get connected with the market. And I think the fact that you are here just shows how honest you are, how passionate you are, how energetic you are, how you keep your radar up so that you can get information about stuff that is happening. I think this was my first step myself. This was my first step to ensure that I get into the right connections, get into the right field, get the right signals from the market. The goodness about you getting connected in this way is that you know the technologies to use at least, or to learn while in campus. You know that we're moving toward cloud technologies, and so you can get certified in, say, Azure and such. You also know people in the industry. Why is it important to know people? The software engineering industry is not an island industry where you go sit somewhere in your computer and then one day wake up with a solution and lo and behold, the world is having the solution. No, it is much more of a collaborative industry where you get stuck at one point, need someone to help you out. So it's not like a silo-based industry. So you need people, you need connections. You need someone who is up there who can keep you accountable. You need someone who is low there whom you can mentor and help them to become better persons. I think the first challenge I noted in campus was that we had, it was really, I felt it was disconnected in a way. I felt like there were few people who knew something and were kind of not willing to share. But things have changed lately, in my opinion, and everybody is willing to share information. And then those people who are willing to learn need to also reach up, manage upwards, and ask, reach out, get people who can keep you accountable, people who can help you know what is happening in the industry. So that is basically it about software engineering. But as I conclude on, I'd like to add just a few things. We have 1,001 or even a million technologies that are coming each and every day. But we have principles of software engineering and computing generally, things that are ageless, things that don't age. For example, understanding object-oriented programming is going to help you to code object-oriented patterns across different languages. But understanding a language without understanding the underlying principles will make you get easily first off when that language goes. Yeah, we have languages, for example, I don't know whether we use Visual Basic anymore, but we have languages that really the market demand has gone down and they've been first off. But if you understood the principles of these languages, what is it built on? It helps you to become timeless. So the first thing that you need to do is understand the basics, the fundamentals. So if you're not if you're not in computing, for example, when you get into the field, at least take some time to read about say system design, data structures and algorithms, design patterns, all those things. They are fundamentals, principles that are not likely to change over time. Or they get innovated over time, but they will apply over different languages that you choose. And number two, stick to a specific lane. It's possible for you to be a full stack engineer who knows JavaScript, React, Rust, all those things. But I think there is also a limit to how much you can know if you want to develop technical depth. So if you're choosing to become a full stack engineer, at least choose a narrow path that you can develop mastery in and then start expanding wide. That is my opinion. Knowing too much is not bad. I mean, how do I say this? You need to develop technical depth. And that is why I started with the fundamentals and the principles of computing. You need to develop the technical depth and then start expanding widely. For example, if you know that we have, for example, for these looping statements, where they switch logic in a programming language. If you know a switch statement, you know a switch statement. It doesn't change. Whether you go to Python, everything, a switch is a switch, right? You have known a principle, so you can apply it elsewhere. And you can know a principle using a specific language. So develop technical depth in those languages, and then expand widely. And if you don't know which field you want to, then try several things. In the process of trying, you will learn what you're inclined to. In software engineering and such, I realized that it's a wide field. It's not necessarily a technical field. We have product management roles. We have engineering management roles. We have things that cut across many things. I think in Microsoft, for example, we have content writers, technical writers. We have even recruiting within the tech field. So as you go into the field, as you learn into the field, that is when you will learn where you are aligned. Whether you are into product management, whether you are into cloud, whether you're into DevOps, whether you are into machine learning and AI, whether you are into blockchain and whatever, Web3 and emerging technologies, whether you are into, all those things, you will learn as you go by. Don't fear to make mistakes. Someone says, fail fast, fail quickly. So try things, fail them, help yourself with the support of your friends to get out of it. So I hope the tips have been helpful, and I want to open up for questions. Back to you. Winnie thinks Humphrey is muted accidentally.
Okay. I think we can give the floor for people to ask questions, and then I can ask my questions.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Hi, Meshach.
Hi.
Yeah. So my question revolves around like finding your niche. So like as you said, software engineering is wide and like it involves a lot of stuff. And yeah, there's always this term explore, like try out different things and maybe you find, but there's always the pressure of time because exploring also takes time, and there's always the frustration of maybe doing something up to a point. Maybe as you're exploring, I know you'll want to build the technical depth in that area as you explore. Then maybe you reach a point, then you switch to a different thing, and maybe with time now, when you're reviewing what you've done, you've maybe jumped around a lot of places, and none of them you have technical depth. And it's always that feeling that, oh, you've not found the right thing. And yeah, so maybe advice that you can give around that, like just finding that niche that you can switch.
Yeah, I know there is that thing about skimming through everything and becoming a jack of all tricks, which does not actually most of the time work. I'd say I had a mentorship session sometime in the company with one of the partner engineers, and then there is information that he gave about him having started in a separate field and not knowing his next move at all, but doing everything that is possible to become better in whatever he's doing at that point until he finds the next step to move. That is one approach you can take. That sometimes you don't have everything figured out, but at least you have something at hand to start with. So take that something at hand that you have at that point and be good at it. I'd give an example. Right now, for example, in campus, you are doing, say, project management, and you find that project management is not good for you, and you do a unit in security, and you find that you have passion in security. So you can develop a technical depth in security at that point. And number two, then get to the industry, get to the people in security, get to the people around, ask around. Sometimes our limitation is that we have not found another person doing something else. So what we consider the best for us is because that is the only thing that we know. We do not have another option that challenges our likes and dislikes. So I think the first thing is to start with that thing that at least you find it has passion, you have passion in. But I'd like to say I don't have the right answer for this, right? It's not like it's the biblical truth where it's yeah and no and no. But I think in the process of time, as you develop technical depth in those things that at least you're passionate about, doing your best at least in the role that you're placed in, then in the process of time you will learn that. Again, don't take too many things. Don't take too many things. Don't take project management and security and all those things and try to fit them in. I think the best place you can start even is just getting a junior role, an internship or something of that kind. In the place of internship, there are specific deliverables that you have to do. In the process of doing those deliverables, you will realize that you have a passion in something and not a passion in something. Yeah? Doing it again alone sometimes can be challenging because tomorrow you're on YouTube, you see a new language that has come, you try it, and then tomorrow you don't have passion in it anymore. And then you wake up tomorrow, the other day, you realize that you need to develop your portfolio and you start developing it in React. And then you hear that Svelte is a new thing in the market and you start doing it again there. There is a challenge with that. So if I'd advise that if you've picked a language, at least develop some technical knowledge in it, that specific language, learn it as much as you can. And then later on, you can diversify to other languages. And I think we have languages, for example, that have can serve you as have market, for example. It is, you could take JavaScript, Python, C# or something of that kind. Learn it in the process of time, develop technical depth, understand the mind of the writer of that language, and then later you can move to a different thing. But again, I'd say it's not too late to. There's no point in your career where I think it will be too late to change to anything, because we said it's a dynamic place, it's a dynamic career. I had a colleague who had switched off from a total different career and started a different thing. So experiment until you find it. but I don't have the right answer, at least for for all the cases that will happen there.
Yeah, I understand. But thank you for sharing the little insight.
Oh, hi, Meshach.
Yeah.
There's a question on the chat where PDT is inquiring that you mentioned about being a full stack developer. So do I have to know both front end and back end to be a software dev, or can I just focus on one track?
Okay. You can become a full stack developer, you can become a backend developer, you can become a DevOps engineer, you can become a front-end engineer. But I'll tell you my preference. I usually prefer knowing how things move, like how, for example, if I'm a front-end engineer, I usually want to understand what is happening in the backend. And when I'm a backend engineer, I want to understand how things are deployed. So some DevOps stuff, some cloud stuff there. And it has advantages. It has advantages. For example, say you are a JavaScript engineer, you know JavaScript. So with JavaScript, being a full stack engineer is not a problem. Why? JavaScript is the same, TypeScript is the same. You can use TypeScript in the front end and in the back end because these others are frameworks. Say React is a framework, Angular is a framework, and also Node.js is built on top of JavaScript. Because you know one fundamental language, it's very easy for you to become a full stack engineer with Node.js in the backend and some form of one framework that is either React, Angular, or Vue.js in the front end. You can learn to be a front-end engineer, but I think you'll have a limitation of understanding what is actually happening in the backend. So my opinion is that because it will not be too much to ask, you can just learn it from a full stack perspective. But there are situations where full stack means actually different languages. So it's good to keep the scope small when you say full stack engineer. For example, I don't know Java Spring. We have a backend engineer who is a Java Spring engineer. I'm not willing to learn Java Spring at this point. So I will become a full stack engineer, but with my Node.js and maybe some other language that I think it's strategic to me. So when I hear a job advertisement about Java Spring backend engineer, I will not be interested in that because it is not something that I'm technically capable of. And maybe because I look at it from the perspective of, if I start working on Java Spring right now, it will take me some time to become a technical engineer, and I don't know what direction whether I'm aligning with Java Spring at this point, then I'd prefer not to do Java Spring. But I can do JavaScript, Node.js in the backend, and React or Angular in the front end, or both React and Angular, just to widen my thing, and become a full stack engineer. But again, I can become a front-end engineer with that. Now, again, it depends on your company, the company that you're going, for example, to work in. I think most startups, you will realize that they need full stack engineers because they can take processes end to end. When you get to some other companies, they will ask you for front-end engineers. It is really opinionated whether you want to be a front-end engineer, back-end engineer, full stack engineer, but I prefer that you just learn how the things move in all sides. But again, keeping your funnel so narrow enough so that you do not go too broad and try to learn many things that don't help. But again, not keeping it too narrow so that you are left out again on many things. Yeah. So just understanding some stuff. Yeah. I see there is a question about, can I do Microsoft interview using JavaScript? Yes. Yeah. You can do with any language. any language technically, like Rust, Go, any language that the questions that are asked are usually specific. It doesn't depend on language. So you're not told to write a C# program to do this. You're told you are given an algorithm, so implement in the language that you love. I think Winnie, I jumped in, but just go on with the questions.
Actually, it's all right. I think he also has another question. So I think you can just complete that, then I'll ask my 2 questions.
Any tip you can give that helped you pass your Microsoft interview? I think it is, how can I say? One, it is that you have to prepare well. So I talked about knowing the fundamentals, knowing the principles of computing. So data structures and algorithms, that is the equivalent of mathematics in primary school and high school and even campus. It helps you think on how you're going to solve problems. So you need to have a mind that is prepared to solve problems. Number 2, it is about, for example, system architecture. You need to understand what happens. And that is why I say do not limit yourself. Say I'm a front-end engineer, I don't need to understand how the backend works, etc. So you need to understand the fundamentals. So OP principles, design patterns, all those things. Not to be perfect, but at least understand those things. But again, number 3, it is about your people skills. Are you able to communicate? Are you a person who works in a silo? That the people skills is what we call the fundamental, which is culture in Microsoft. I think in Microsoft, it is big about culture, how you relate to people. Do you help people? Do you have impact on other people? Do you leverage other people's work? Do you celebrate them? And then do you have anything that you contribute again to that? So, and that is only possible if you can communicate well with other people, relate well with people, collaborate, don't die alone. Because if you have a blocker and sit on it for 1 week like I did in campus, that is like 40 hours wasted, while you could have spent 2 hours blocked and 1 hour getting unblocked. So that is very important. And so in interviews, for example, feel free to ask questions, clarifications, understand, then reflecting on your failures. Have you failed at some point? We don't say that you can't fail. We say that if you fail, are you able to get back, reflect on the things that helped you, made you fail, and help yourself not to fail again? And then ask for help. Yeah, so those are the things that you need to consider and for getting ready to a Microsoft interview. But majorly, I'd say the people skills side, and your God too. Yes.
Okay, so I think it will be good if James can clarify if he's been answered well and if he's satisfied with the response before we proceed. James? Okay. So we have another question from PDT that's asking, since there are a lot of layoffs in companies, does that mean that we have few roles for software engineers? And also, as you answer that question, please cover the aspect of whereby you won't be coding the whole of your life. So should you also map out like a career path, like I'll be a front-end developer for 2 years, then upgrade to a project manager, or let's say like a technical lead, then from there I can decide either to be a senior engineer. Yeah, that way.
On whether there are roles, I think Microsoft is open, but I cannot speak for HR. Though I see that we still they're still advertising for, say, engineering manager positions and such. So for as long as you keep in touch with the career portal, you'll see the opportunities that are available, and even internship opportunities that are available. I think, in my opinion, let not layoffs discourage you, because there is always an opportunity, whether in Microsoft or elsewhere, for you to get to practice. When others are laying off, there is always someone who is absorbing people or hiring. So let not layoffs discourage anybody. Yes, I think on the question that you asked about whether you can charter your career in such a way that you have 2 years of front end, 2 years of back end, 2 years. I'd be happy if there was a way to do that, and maybe it would be a great thing for you to do it. But I'm unsure about 2 years, because there are things that happen. 2 years is a long and a short time too. There are the things that happen along the way. You may think that you want to do 2 years in front end and then 2 years in back end, but after 2 years you realize that I want to be a project manager instead, or I want to be a front end engineer instead, or I want to be an engineering manager. So it may not happen as such and say 2 years into this, 2 years into that. But where possible, I think it's a good thing to have a career plan. I think it's a good thing. But sometimes don't kill yourself if you don't have one, and you just need to, you're experimenting stuff to know what you like. It may take you 2 years, it may take you 1 year, it may take you 5 years, but along the way, learn, adapt, grow. That is a thing. So learn, fail, reflect, assimilate that feedback that you have for yourself, and then grow. That is what I'd say. Into it. But definitely, after time, you'll start realizing somehow how things organize themselves into your future, or how your career will have been aligned into the future. I hope I answered.
Okay, that's noted. Yeah, that's answered quite well. So yeah, I did. I'm not sure about purity, but also to add on that, can you talk about security in a job? Like, are you afraid that Microsoft might lay you off, or you are confident that you'll stay there for a while? And how do you establish that security when you land at a role? You want to be like, I'm only here for 2 years. After 2 years, I might be either given a brown letter, or after 2 years, I'll still be here.
It's my prayer always and my wish that I stay in Microsoft always, and I trust that the kind of how Microsoft is organized, its business and such, I feel confident that I'm not going to be laid off. I don't think I have such a fear personally, but I think life is always about growth and uncertainties and a lot of things, and that is what brings in the concept of a growth mindset. I think growth mindset, in my definition, will be that every failure or every circumstance is an opportunity for growth. So my answer to the question will not be whether Microsoft will fire me or not. Maybe my answer will be that whatsoever the situation, there is always a growth mindset. That is, you always grow into a next level. But yeah, I'm confident that the way I've seen Microsoft structure its business, the way the people culture in Microsoft is so good, and I think that with such a thing or organization, there is a future for me, a long and sustainable future. And I think what I loved about Microsoft was also that it's many big organizations in Microsoft as an organization. So there's always chances for you to move around within Microsoft itself. So I find it also a very good thing. But let me say something, that I was retrenched in some other roles that I had in the past, not in Microsoft, but before then. But then I learned that there is always an opportunity. It is how you handle those moments of failure. And for example, right now we have an economic recession where companies have retrenched many people, that does not mean that those people will not grow out of that, let me call it depression of being retrenched. I think much more it is about how they handle the situation out of it, or how you handle the situation out of it, and consider that there is always an opportunity for growth, and positively looking at situations and moving on to some new places. Yeah.
Speaking of, life is about uncertainty. Somebody is asking, how many rejections did you receive before you got a job in Microsoft?
I think I will be disappointing you to say that I got my first offer. It was my first. I didn't get rejected myself.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. But my question will be, does it matter how many times you get rejected? You know, whether you got rejected the first time or you got absorbed in the first time. The thing is that there was an objective, and there was a milestone, at least, even if it's being called for that interview itself. And I think I also know friends who didn't make it, or I see people applying every single day. Some don't make it, some make it. But I also think that in the words of one speaker who came and spoke to us and said, every single interview that you partake in is an opportunity to shine light into the gray areas of your technical capabilities or your weaknesses. And then it helps you to go back, regroup yourself, and then come back with polished, better polished capability or technical skills or something of that kind. So a rejection or no rejection, you will always learn that these are always opportunities to learn, because even if you get into Microsoft, you realize that the whole structure of Microsoft is huge. There are many things to learn. So you'll always see opportunities for yourself to learn. If you get rejected, you'll be given reasons as to why you didn't get, you got rejected sometimes. And through the process of interview, you will realize that there are some places you're struggling. There are some places where you needed to improve in. There were opportunities for you. And in those places, you go and work on them. So it is about always getting an opportunity for someone to shine light to those weaknesses that you have. And so I'd encourage you even right now to be doing interviews, not necessarily to Microsoft, but also to other companies. Just interview, always interview. And that helps you to know, this area I'm not good, this area I am good. Number two, right now you're looking for alignment with the industry. So interviews are a way for you to see also what companies are demanding for, and what things you're not aligning to what the companies are asking for.
Okay, so we have covered a lot of technical concepts and technical to-dos and know-hows in the software engineering career path. And obviously you won't be in the computer 24 hours. Yeah, you obviously have to have the fun part of life, try and balance between work and normal life stuff. So my question is, when you shifted, when you began your career as a software engineer, was there anything that was affected? Like how long do you sleep? Do you still sleep the same hours that you used to sleep in school? Or have you increased? And also, to add on that, we also have some people here who technically they will be okay, yes, they'll join Microsoft or Facebook, but after some time they're going to, and after some time they may decide to start a company. How do they gain their business skills on the software side?
So do I sleep like I slept in campus? I think if I was returned in campus, I was returned to campus, I think I had a lot of time. I had a lot of time that I feel I wasted. Maybe I'm not saying that you kill yourself in campus, but there is always that extra time we sometimes you have lessons Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday if you're in a public campus. Thursday, Friday, you have it to yourself. Sometimes you have only 2 lessons in a day and you have the whole afternoon to yourself. What do you do with that time? Making that time count is important. On sleep, I think in campus, whether you like it or not, you have so much time to sleep. So I used to sleep at around 9 and wake up at around 5. Yes. Then there was that time in my career where I was always learning, but I kept quite a constant in my sleeping patterns. I am an early sleeper, early waker, so I kept it. Now, coming to Microsoft is a very big advocate of work and life balance. And here you work, and when time for work is gone, you leave. But again, living and work is the same thing, so you cannot say that there is life for work and life for this, but it's a balance between your work and also your personal life, your family, and your social life. Do you exercise and all that? Because all those things again will go and affect your productivity as a software engineer. So I think we have sessions where we talk about, not I think, we usually have sessions where we talk about how we can better be people who can learn to balance stuff. For example, if you're starting your day at 8 at work to 5, let it be so that it's 8 to 5. And once it's 5, get rid of your computer, go and relax. Go have time for your family, because for these 8 hours at least you've had time for your employer. So have time for your family, have time to exercise, have time to just have a mental space, and live easy, because how you live out there is likely to affect how you live at work. So I think I sleep early, try to keep my work hours. It's rare for me to be in a meeting at this time. I rarely get into a meeting beyond 6, 5, I think, unless it's very urgent, so that I can balance between my work and my family and life. And I think that is a good thing for everyone to adopt. You have 24 hours in a day. Just try so that you don't burn out. And in software development, I think burnout is a major thing. If you lose that mental health, that physical health, you may never regain it for a very long while. So it's very important for you to keep your headspace clear, live healthy, and because there is empathy between the brain and your body. So if your body is weak, your brain is weak, your productivity is weak, and everything is weak. I'm not an advocate for overnight. You transnight overnight coding, taking coffee all the night. I mean, you're not a coffee vending machine. Just take your time. When it is over, it's over. If you cannot focus, take a break, go and walk, come back. Don't kill yourself, in short, because it's not about software engineering. It's about life in whole, and you'll realize that if you're healthy physically and mentally, then you're also healthy at work. It's important to keep that balance. Don't overdo anything. Just keep a balance. And when it comes to the time of work, focus and give your best at that time. Then also when it comes to going out, go out and play around, run, play football, go swimming. What is it? Go to the gym, do all those things so that you can balance yourself. You will die if you overdo anything. They say too much of anything is poisonous. Well, poison kills, whether it is in the form of coffee or transnighting 24 hours without sleep or doing anything of that kind. That is, in my opinion, but also that is what we advocate for in Microsoft. That we, I see Microsoft advocating for that. We have a holistic life where we can separate work and when it comes to your time for your well-being, or you're playing, you can also become a good, yeah, because life is still important. You're needed. Yeah. And so with Microsoft, it has become even better for me because we keep work at work and all that. And then allyship, people who are friends. So it's really a nice working environment where you get support from mental support, physical support, technical support. And then when it goes beyond your work hours, everybody is there to support you to become a better person. If it's balancing, even your manager will never ask you will never force you to go beyond that which you're supposed to do. Yeah, because he also has a responsibility to ensure that you are at your optimal level. So with Microsoft, that makes it even way better, something that I love, and probably it's lacking elsewhere. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that. So unfortunately, we'd love to stay and ask you all the questions, but you're past time by 10 minutes. So I think all you can do is share how the fellow ambassadors can reach out to you, and then they can ask some more questions from there, if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah. So I can share my LinkedIn. I saw someone ask for my LinkedIn, so I'm going to share my LinkedIn here, and I'll be happy to just connect. So I just did it. Or have I? Yeah, just did it.
Okay, thank you. So that's it for those who joined the call. Unfortunately, we'll be wrapping up our session on Career Talk this month. And yeah, I hope to see you guys next time on the Career Talk. I can't ascertain that we'll have the talk next month in December, since majority of us will be doing exams and others will be over the holidays preparing for the festivities. So I can say we meet in January. So that's it from my side. Thank you. Adios.
Bye bye. It was a pleasure having you. Bye bye.